Manchester United 0, Manchester City 3. I'm joined by Stephen Howson. You're at the game. Just almost upsetting in the lack of calamities. It was just one team absolutely battering another team. You can't even blame individual errors. We can't blame one-offs. This was just a mauling, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And in some ways, is that harder to fix? Is that like where?
A little bit. This is almost as evident. This is very reminiscent of the 5-0 at home to Liverpool, even though it wasn't 5, it was 3. In terms of how far apart the two teams were, how one team looked levels fitter, how one team always had a pass, how one team didn't get out of second gear, I think the two results are comparable.
What I almost want to just sort of look forward, because there's been so. I mean, obviously, I want to go through
to
the
Newcastle, because that's
no,
going to be different.
No, not to Newcastle, but to United's next steps as a football club over the next 1 week to 1 year. How does this get better? What needs to be fixed? What is the problem? How many problems are there? How possible is it to even fix this? Because year after year after year, we find ourselves in this repeating pattern where things look good for a bit and then everything goes to shit. And then we get a new manager and then things look good for a bit and then everything goes to shit. Do you think this is the wrong manager? Are these the wrong players? Or is there other things going on here, or a collection of all of this? Because I don't see how United go from not to winning league titles, but to even just being able to put 2 seasons back to back where we don't look awful.
I don't think it's a simple, and I know opposition fans were like, get the fucking Norwich scarves. It isn't just you've got to sort the ownership situation out, but you do have to sort the ownership situation out. Yep. I think Ten Hag has to take some responsibility for some of this, and there's a long way from saying, I think the manager has to take responsibility for where we are this season. There are many, many more steps before you be like, get the fucker out the door. Some people can't compute. I think he has to take responsibility for that today and not sacking him. Like, there are I can't believe people are even possible to be in relationships if they're like not constantly miffed with something that your partner did. Like, but that doesn't mean divorce them or bury them under your fucking patio every fortnight. That means sometimes you go, she could have done roast a little bit better, but everything else about was all right. So I'll probably keep fucking going on with it, like, and hope that she learns how to fucking do roast potatoes at some point. I find that knee-jerk reaction to, like, you can't even really talk about criticizing people. I blame the Instagram generation because everything's fucking flawless, right? But sometimes it ain't. And we're in a period where it ain't perfect. And the right-wing situation affects us, right? Whether you think it affects us immediately today or not, it affects us. If that would have been our first defeat of the season, it wouldn't have been like the house is on fire, would it?
No.
Not having our first choice back four affects us. Not knowing who our ownership's going to be next week affects us. Like, and if you don't think it does, then of course it fucking does. Like, there's players who want to come and play for Manchester United. And I spoke to a player that wants to come and play for Manchester United this week myself. And he's trying to get in. This is a fucking top player, by the way, who's trying to get in touch with people at United and doesn't know where the fuck to start. How pathetic is that? Like, just to put it out there, by the way, I won't mind playing for United. We know you're looking. Can we maybe come to some sort of fucking deal here? Like, and ends up talking to the fucking guy off a YouTube channel because that's the only fucking person he can reach out to. Like, if you don't think that's fucked, you are so... And I'm not blagging in the slightest there. This 1,000,000% happened Friday this week, right? If you don't think that that's absolutely batshit crazy, like, how the fuck they're not getting in touch with the people at the club that are in charge of recruitment is insane. Just to be like, by the way, interested.
Yeah.
A bid that came in would be of interest. You know, and you think... And then you go, we've not been able to put our style of play. What is our style of play? I mean, I'm seeing that all the time at the moment. And it's valid, but it's also like, how the fuck do you have a style of play without your first choice back four? Manchester City lost 3 out of 4 games. Rodri missed. Why couldn't they just have won those games?
Mm.
You know, it's everything. And I don't know what I can't sit here and tell you that you click one switch and actually this team starts to fucking play properly. I don't know what that switch is. Do you know what I mean? Who knows what that switch is? That switch might be something you've never fucking considered.
It might not exist. There might not be one switch. Yeah.
The problem Ten Hag's got at the moment is we don't know enough about what goes on at other clubs because they're not as newsworthy as Manchester United. Like, United reappoint a fucking tea lady and it fucking makes the front page and TalkSport do a week's worth of shows on it. Mm. So everyone's job gets heavily, heavily scrutinised and sometimes heavily praised should it go right. It doesn't happen often. Whereas, like, who are the people involved behind the scenes at Villa? Who are the people involved behind the scenes at Spurs? Did Emery and Postecoglou just walk into absolute fucking dumpster fires, put it out and go to work? Or was there probably 15, 20 staff behind the scenes that maybe aren't getting the credit for what is a fantastic job that's going on the pitch at both of those clubs? The reality suggests it probably is the latter. There's talk of, fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme coming in and Paul Mitchell coming in. Is that going to make a difference? Yes, probably. But is it going to mean that we win against Newcastle on Wednesday if it happens before then? No. That's the sort of thing that takes 18 months to fix. There's some things that are starting to emerge from Ten Hag. Supposedly that we're doing a lot more running in the week. Some people are suggesting maybe we're doing a little bit heavy running. I think that's a good thing. I don't think the players are fit enough. Is that the sort of thing that maybe pays off in 18 months, 24 months time? Yeah, maybe. Is he going to get to 18 months, 24 months time if it continues like this? Probably fucking not. So this is the mad situation that you're in. Everyone wants immediate results and to plan for the long term at the same time. So how the fuck do you do that?
And also, maybe there isn't the situation where we can get immediate results. And I do think, like you said, this whole thing of like, oh, well, you can't blame, John Murtaugh or Richard Arnold or whatever for this, that and the other. But then you think, well, what is the point in even having them there then if they don't take any credit or any blame? Like, what is the point in trying to get the best people to do a job if nothing matters anyway except the manager? What's the point in trying to get the best players? What's the point in why is an injury even a negative thing if it doesn't affect how you play on the pitch? People want to take everything away and pretend it's only the manager. And like you said, there are criticisms of Ten Hag. I thought his substitution today, I don't think bringing Mount on helped in the slightest. I think it opened us up and didn't give us anything extra going forward. But what is the point in any of these roles existing or in trying to improve in any area if the only thing that matters at a football club is the manager? Why do we even have a chief exec? Like, people try and just boil it down to nothing. Just talking.
Look,
you said
one mad thing is that people talk about Pep Guardiola as the greatest coach forever, and one other criticism that they throw at managers that are failing typically is he hasn't improved anyone. Mm. And look at what Pep's improved. Okay, well, if Pep had just had this magical ability to improve anyone, why is he signing players?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
he could have just turned Dan James into the best player in the world if he could just, improve everyone. You have to be able to get the right people in still. Like, it's a good point. You said, getting Paul Mitchell in ain't going to help us beat Newcastle. What is going to help us beat Newcastle? What can Ten Hag do so that he is here in 18 to 24 months, like you mentioned? Because at the minute...
Honestly, I think Newcastle looks...
We need it.
...impervious at the moment. And I think... they've got a few injuries, I believe. Is Isaac out?
Yeah.
Probably a bonus for us. I think he's got a massive conundrum in midfield. We're in this weird hangover where it's been various different players at different stages, whether that's Maguire, whether that's Ashley Young, whether that's Fellaini, McTominay, Fred. We seem to have these hangover players that I don't think any manager really wants, but every manager's had to deal with these players because they're fit and they're available, whereas the ones that you probably want to play, the £70 million Casemiro, that isn't available at the moment. What does our team look like? If we could wave a magic wand, you bring in Martinez, you bring in Varane, Luke Shaw's back, possibly Wan-Bissaka, it might be the low, who knows?
Yeah.
Does that back four just actually? Because we know Varane's so much better player now. You know Luke Shaw's going to be a lot better than fucking Lindelof at left back.
Yeah.
Casemiro alongside Amrabat, does that provide us a nice bit of a base? Does that mean that you can maybe float Eriksen into the team or maybe Mount? Like, what the fuck did we sign Mount for if we're going to just use him in this weird number 6 role?
Yeah.
I thought there might have been an opportunity to play him off the right. Seemingly, that actually Bruno's the one that goes on the right and seems ineffective when he's on the right. I think Mount might be more effective on the right. Bruno seems more effective central. Eriksen looks like one of our better players at the moment because when you're looking at that game, you're looking at Manchester City players very comfortable taking the ball, moving the ball quite quickly, minimal amount of touches, quite often on playing off one. And you go, even when City play long passes, not long balls. I think they don't play a long ball. They don't fucking dosh one into the channel and ask you to fight for a second ball, do they? But they play quite a lot of long passes. And what I mean by that is they've got players that can switch it. Not a big fucking looper that comes down with snow on it that takes 3 weeks to get there and the entire defence has slid over and prevented it. But they play people who can just chip it. 30
just
yards,
clip
40
it.
yards. Yeah, and it's an immaculate ball received by someone with an immaculate first touch in space, because what City do is they force you to narrow and narrow and narrow and narrow, and they maintain their shape on the opposite side of the pitch. So they know they hit Rodri in the centre. Rodri just goes, boosh, has some of that over to the other side. And then when you see Manchester United get on the ball, I thought Maguire had a really solid game today, and it was flabbergastingly good how for the first half of the game, Maguire and Johnny Evans lining up in a Manchester derby have not just been fucking tuned up, turned inside out, because that's what I think a lot of us probably thought could happen in the first half.
Yeah.
But you look at Johnny Evans is a pretty good ball-playing defender, but he's not got a John Stones range of passing in him, or a Rodri range of passing in. And Maguire really doesn't. Like, he's very ponderous on the ball. And I was watching when John Stones gets on the ball, and Rodri is so fucking good to watch. When he gets on the ball, he doesn't stand still. Even if he's not doing anything with the ball, he will drive forward and invite pressure, and try to make someone come and press him, because he knows that that's going to draw them out of whatever position they are. And City also have this brilliant knack of whoever they pass the ball to, if they ping it out to Foden over on that left-hand side, someone will go close to him. Vardiol will probably go close to him, or Bernardo might shimmy across to him. So there is the easiest, simplest, one-touch, 5-yard pass right there for them. And then that pass from whoever he ends up passing it to can just be a bounce straight back to Foden, who's now in space because the runner went with whoever he was going to take it away, because someone just went 1v1 against... Are you getting the ball? No one goes towards them. There's not enough movement ahead of or around the ball. There's not enough. The only person who does it is Marcus. And actually, we weren't finding him at all. And he had a poor game in possession, and he had a poor game out of possession. But he is, to just mitigate one aspect of his game, he is constantly looking for fucking, he's making flat runs, looking to turn the corner. He's running in behind, trying to pull Walker out of position. But no one has got the range to find him. No one. Maybe only Eriksen. And I think City knew that, and he fucking clamped him.
It's just... I keep coming back to this thing. When you look at the teams, it would have taken... obviously, on a one-off, anyone can win any game. But if those two teams played each other with, they get their team and Pep Guardiola, we get our team, and any manager in the world, you're going to struggle to win that game more than once or twice out of 10. Like, the levels of the players are so far apart. Yeah.
Without even touching the penalty, that fucking bullshit penalty call. And then, Højlund doesn't go down for the contact under Stone. I don't know if that was in the box. Was it in the box?
Yeah, I don't know. It was on the edge. I couldn't tell.
Right, so it might not have been a penalty. But Joe, sometimes if United has scored that first goal, can that help? Like, once City got their nose in front, I don't think we had the confidence to think we could go and outscore them. But if we'd have scored first at home, we had chances at 0-0. And we had the better chances in the first 20 minutes or so. And you just think, if we could have converted one of them. And that's the problem at the moment, is that forward line of ours could not fucking score in a brothel, my friend.
No. Well, let's hope they can turn it around for the game against one of the other most informed teams in the league in midweek against Newcastle.
It's all right, they don't concede loads either. All right,
yeah, and
cool.
They don't score loads either. Great. Right, thank you, Steve, for coming on. In fact, I do feel slightly buoyed by some of your comments there. I do think there's maybe some way we can look forward,
Really?
but
That
short
was
term,
not my intention.
I know it wasn't, but I'm taking it as that. Short term, it's going to be tricky. Right, thank you for joining us. Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you in a bit.